Beautiful news going on, everybody.
Welcome to another episode. So yeah, we are officially a bi-weekly podcast.
Yeah, listen, it happened. 3 babies in and it just changed up a little bit.
But I love how last week you were like, we're going to try and get 2 episodes in this week.
Don't slander me. Don't slander me in
and
front
I knew
of our
as
family.
soon as you said it, we're not doing 2 episodes.
Don't slander me in front of our family. This past week was Mental Health Week. And our episode is a little bit on that note, but I just want to start off by saying how proud I am of our peers and our mutuals and the people our age, because something I'm starting to notice a lot more in our community, which makes me very happy, especially from people in our age group. A lot more people are going to therapy. A lot more people are getting medicated. A lot more people are, and this is not, pharmaceuticals, but a lot more people are actually getting help with the things that they're experiencing and going through. And I'm very thankful for that, because our suicide rates in all of our communities are far too high.
It is.
And I want my brothers and my sisters here with me. And so, shouts out to you guys. I'm very proud of you. Very happy for all of you.
Yeah, and it is hard, going to therapy.
It's rough. It's
not hard, but you're
Culturally,
yes, it's...
Because the perception...
of giving your
information to a stranger or telling
why can't you tell me, your sister or your mom,
but even beyond that, just talking about these things that are deeply personal and very scary and sometimes hard to identify, and sometimes it takes a while to realize, wow, fuck, it's not normal to be sad all the time. I always feel sad and I don't have...
Or realize that your anger issues are actually there's a root
chemical
to it,
reason or some shit that you're going through. You're not just having an off, or somebody is just not being So
it's really beautiful to see a lot of not beautiful in the sense.
Beautiful in the sense that our people are getting help and taking advantage of having access to something that's long been denied us, because first financially, and then culturally. So it's a shift in the culture that not only can we afford, but we are attending and getting help with these things. That shit makes me very happy.
But sometimes therapy isn't for everyone. I remember when I went and I tried, it was hard to connect with that person. You have to have a good
connection. It has to be the right person. It can't be just anyone. Yeah, and that's okay. And no, therapy is not for everyone. And I'm not claiming that it's the only answer, but it's still...
It's really beautiful to see
a lot of people getting help, and taking care of themselves. Because I think that ties into this episode a lot. Because this episode is called... Your presence is a present, right? And so we're talking about controlling your space, your energy, things like that. But I think one of the things that makes this conversation so hard is, family is my faith, it's my foundation, it's my religion, it's what I believe in most in the world. Culturally, that's what we come from. And when you come from that, it's taboo sometimes, or a lot of times, to put you first, or to think of you. And so that's another thing that makes this conversation hard, because for a lot of us, depending on different situations, you could be an only child, you could be the oldest child, but either way, your responsibility, even as a young person, prevents you putting your mental health first in a lot of situations, especially when your parents or elders have created these issues in you and don't acknowledge them. Well, in my day, in my generation, we had thicker skin. But if that was the case, I wouldn't have all these issues now, because you wouldn't have taken out all of these things on me that you didn't know any other way to vent.
So I guess in that sense, it's okay. It's okay to distance yourself every now and then. Not even just now and then, but if you need a good decent chunk of break from people whose energy just is tiring, and it's just... Right,
and this can be anybody. So I was tweeting earlier this week, and I was going over things, and I was thinking, because the conversation that I don't know, I've had it on my personal podcast, and I think I even talked about it in the book, but the statement that I initially made was, there's no such thing as not having enough time. There's always enough time. Either your time management is shit, or you aren't okay with admitting the things that you believe a priority are not a priority. It's not enough time as an emotional lie that we tell ourselves to feel better about not spending time with someone, shit like that. But the caveat to that is, it's okay.
That's a big word, caveat.
Caveat. It's okay to not have time for people. It's okay to prioritize other things.
Yeah.
I just don't condone the lie or the myth that there's not enough time. And the thing that taught me that lesson is I have two sisters, and their birthdays are 2 days apart. They always celebrate them on the same weekend, but they celebrate them separately. And I could only make it to one, and I always made it to the same one every year. And I was like, there's just not enough time. Until one year, I wasn't invited because I was doing some wild hood rat shit. And she was angry at me, and I got uninvited. I was like, oh shit, I can go to the other birthday. I was getting it, and I was like, oh, I've always had enough time. This just wasn't my priority. You know, I still had a really great time that year. but and the realization kind of came from there, you know. But another thing onto that, there's this myth, this assumption that people are entitled to our time. But no one is entitled to you or your time, no matter who they are. Not your boss, not your parents, not your siblings, not even your family. You know what I mean? These are choices that we make, and there's consequences to the choices.
Yeah.
But if you can live with those, you're good. Like, how many workplaces have you seen me leave because they weren't good for my mental health?
Yeah. And it would stress me the fuck out. I'd be like, I'll be like, not even like, you just started here. You need this job.
Listen, but I'm not gonna take an ulcer for anyone. I'm not gonna damage my mental, spiritual, or emotional health for anyone. That's another thing I said a part of this conversation. I will leave an unhealthy community before I conform to one. Because just because everybody's doing it doesn't make it right or okay. And I always upskill and I always upgrade. So the reason that I don't have a problem leaving unhealthy situations and communities is because I know and understand my value and my worth. And I have faith that I will find others that do as well.
And I feel like that's why a lot of people stay within certain situations that they know
are comfortable.
Well, not is it, but they know are unhealthy for them, or they
don't know or believe that they can do better.
Yeah, they've just told themselves that this is
we had that conversation.
The height of where I can go.
We were having that conversation earlier because I told you there's an episode of the Boondocks, and the Boondocks parodied a lot of things in funny ways. But they were doing this chick who was online dating Granddad, and she was like crazy, quote unquote. She was like trapping him, and it turned out it was two reasons. One, because she had a best friend that always talked to her like, oh, that happened? I wouldn't let that happen. He's probably doing this, da-da-da. And then she would flip out whenever her best friend was telling her. But the other thing was because she had been through a lot of toxic relationships. And some of the things, even though it was a joke and a parody in this episode, these are real life things that people hear in relationships and from their families. And I remember there was this one guy, and I chuckled at the time because it's funny, but it's funny until it happens to you. But he was like, bitch, don't nobody love you. You ain't nothing. You don't mean nothing to nobody. Ain't nobody ever gonna want you but me. And you hear enough of that shit from somebody you trust and care about and love, and you definitely believe it. So yeah, and we have people that have heard that their whole lives. How stupid you are, how good for nothing you are, how weak you are. You know? So and that's a reality too. Listen, that's not even just a demographic thing. But when you grow up believing things like that, it's very hard to believe that someone will find value in you.
I know, like, when you said, like, no one is entitled to your time, and then you said work, in my head I was like, well, a little bit, because you're kind of contractually obliged to
but that's a...
Yes, I know that.
It's no, but that's a mutual situation. You understand what I mean? They are reimbursing you or compensating you
so it's not...
for a service that you're providing to them. So as long as everyone is doing their part, then the exchange is, you know what I mean? But if your facility is more preoccupied with keeping people who aren't doing the quality of work I'm doing, and on top of that are detrimental to my mental health, then this arrangement no longer works for us, and I'm going to use the means available to me to find a better situation, even if that's taking sick days to go on job interviews.
Yeah. But listen, what also popped into my head was the situation at work.
Yeah.
Where, so just for the, what happened was, there was a new role that they were kind of like offering people within the company, and I was like, yeah, this sounds like something I would want to do, and it sounds good.
But then every single person who applied from it on the team,
yeah, so people who were already on the team, when I went and I had a look at who was on the team, I was like, nope, I can't. Like, the job itself is good. Great. It's but something I would want to do.
But the environment that the people who are on that team,
yeah, I was like, no.
And I was so proud of you and happy for you and thankful for the growth that you have learned enough about your space and your agency and your happiness to remove yourself from that situation, and then to be comfortable honestly communicating that with your manager.
Yeah, I told my boss, I was like, listen, the job is great, but these people, like, our energy's on different levels. Like, we don't vibe the same. Yeah, and it's and like, I don't want to be in a situation where I don't want to come to work.
Because she enjoys, and we're very
I enjoy
happy.
Going to work. And like, but once I wake up in the morning and I feel like,
I'm not going to slander. I'm not going to take it further or expand on it. But it's funny because the same group that she's having problems with is the same demographic that I've had horrible experiences with in every job that I have ever worked in Aotearoa. And that's very upsetting to me. But I mean, it's literally always the same people. And it's so funny because we were having a conversation and we were like, we don't take old energy from negative experiences into new situations, right? Because we speak positive, we think positive, we live positive, we get positive. But as soon as I found out the demographic of people that were going to be on the team, I was like, don't do it. Don't apply for that. And then I had to catch myself. I was like, oh no, I'm sorry. Hey, listen, if you want it, go for it. Go for it. I'm not going to put my experiences. And then she started talking about it. And then before it even got into it, somebody heard her and then started spreading. I was like, I'm not even going to say I told you so, but I know who them niggas are. I'm just saying. In the office place, this is not. But no.
But yeah, like, protecting your energy at work is extremely important because you literally spend 8 hours a certain amount of time, and
you spend more time at work than you do. I say this every place I go to, every situation, whether it be a contract or I'm on spec. You spend more time at work than you do with your family. I refuse to be in an unhealthy environment for the majority of my day.
Exactly,
because you bring that home.
You do. You really do bring it home, and that's protecting your energy at home is extremely important too.
It's
like just today. With you and Shoto, you had to step away for like...
I have to.
And then that's where I was... Because she... Yeah, listen.
So our oldest daughter... So all of our girls are very different. They have different personalities, different energies, and they're all beautiful and awesome people in their own way. But our oldest girl is very naturally sucky, very whiny. Like, crying is her default. And it doesn't even have
from birth, though.
From birth. It's who she is. There doesn't even have to be anything wrong. It's just her go-to. And that is so polar opposite of everything I come from. Coming from a military family. My mother... I was my mother's youngest child, and she wouldn't even hug me more than a certain amount of times a day because she didn't understand why I had so many feelings. Like that weakness is gross and disgusting to us. So even though I'm not as bad as what I came up in, it's still very hard for me for her to be that extremely sensitive. And so sometimes I have to remove myself from the situation, and that's my child. But that is me knowing enough to not make it worse for both of us.
But that's good, okay. Because then I can step in where you step out, like,
and handle the tears. But no, so there are so many different situations that this applies to this conversation, and I think the reason this conversation works so much for us is because one of the great things about our marriage, right, and who we spend all our time together. Mm-hmm. Now that is not something that's true for all couples or all marriages, and it's not something that works for everybody. You got to do what works for you. Mm-hmm. The reason it works for us is because you've gotten better socially. But you are still a pretty heavy introvert. Like, that is the default of your personality time. And I don't enjoy people. Mm-hmm. I don't like people. Like, the amount of people that I can interact with who I sincerely enjoy, I'm willing to be, it's a very small number. And that's not an elitist thing. It's just, it's an understanding of me and others. Yeah. And I'm not going to put expectations on people. But that makes us perfect, because we always want to be around each other. You know what I mean? We enjoy each other's energy. Like, even when we're fucking with each other, it's still dope because we're doing it together. You know what I mean? Like, I love everything better that we do together. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so I'm thankful for that. But that also means that there's safety in our setup, because we don't typically force each other into situations that aren't right for the both of us. Outside of family, because it both happens to us with family, where I'm like, oh, my sisters want to do this, or you're like, my family's, doing this, can we go here? But even that's within reason, and we both reserve the right to be like, no, I'm not really down for that, but you can go, have a great time, we'll divide the kids up like this, you know what I mean? And boom, and we go. Because we're respectful of each other's spaces. But part of the reason we have a million kids, part of the reason our family setup is the way it is because something that's always been important to me is safety and freedom. And so something that we do very well in our marriage and our relationship is take care of ourselves. Because the thing that we were saying when we were talking about is, it doesn't define you. It truly defines other people, the way they treat you when they know you need them. Mm-hmm. And so our goal has always been to eliminate need outside of ourselves. And we take, literally the only time we ever need help is when a new baby's on the way. Because there's nobody that we can't be in all places at once. But outside of that, very rarely do we ask for things. I much prefer giving than I prefer receiving. Because if I give, I know that there's nothing behind it. This is given in love. This is given freely. It's just because I care about you, this is something dope. I'm thankful that we've worked hard and we have people who are in our life who that's true of. But that's not the exception, or that's not the rule, that's the exception. I'm not willing to take anything from anyone so that you can feel in your heart or your head, oh, I've done this for you. I do this. I refuse. I would rather go without than let someone who wants power over me have the ability to say, look at all the things I do for you. You're ungrateful. And fortunately, we have people in our lives that never put us in that situation. Very rarely do we need to ask, but when we do, they're always there, no questions asked. Our sister Mac, okay, we love you, Makere. I don't even know if you're listening. You need to catch up on episodes, but Mac is always there for us. Charmaine and Mommy, always there for us. You know what I mean? No questions asked, no strings attached. And I'm so thankful that we exist in that space. But jumping back, that I always want us to have that level of sustainability. This is why our goals and our mindset, we're working towards our own land. We're producing our own food, so that we never, one of the most disgusting things in the world to me, and this is just for me personally and my own views, this is not towards anybody else.
Because it's, just so I can jump in, it's just really rough when, people who have toxic parents, but they live at home. And
they don't have anywhere else to go.
It's they're toxic, but I can't leave because I need this person. And that's what, I think that's what, our interview with Louisa. She was like, it's harder for people in certain situations where you kind of need that.
And And so you have to conform to their
yeah,
desires.
you have to kind of do exactly. You have to conform to their desires, but
because they know you don't have any options, and you don't have any
Exactly.
options, and so you get stuck in these situations.
So that's exactly what you were saying. Like, you finding ways to become sustainable where you don't need.
Right, where you have freedom, where you are in charge of your safety in your space, you know?
But it's also like branching out to find communities where you fit in.
Uh-huh.
And communities that kind of protect and uplift
you and your beliefs and
yeah.
your values, and you guys do that for each other. But and that's thank you for branching into that, because that's what I was saying. Because for me, that was the essence of the creation of our family and why I've done everything I've done. I spent 31 years working towards finding the right person to have children with, and then have as many children as possible, because I refused to. Not that there's anything wrong with having one kid, but for me, having to depend on a government or an agency or any of those things is the failure of a family. Your family wasn't large enough. Your family wasn't strong enough. And I refuse for our children to ever be in that situation. And so the first part of that is doing everything we can do to ensure that they start off with as secure as future as possible, and they have a strong base to work from. We're a great foundation. And then the second part of that is that they have the numbers to never not be safe or to never be in need. Oh, I don't have this. My sister has this. We all have this together. The reason this has been on me so much lately, there have been multiple reports in the states, of children of color, black and other races, being ganged up on and assaulted and violently beaten and abused, having their hair cut and tormented by white children and groups. Because they caught them solo. Nigga, my kids is 30 deep. I wish the fuck you would. Catch a bitch at lunchtime. I bet you we all be at your house after school. Your mama get her ass beat.
Yeah, but listen. That's a whole ass different topic, because that kind of like, it's kind of like, well, we shouldn't have to have.
We shouldn't, but I don't expect
30 kids just so.
But what do we always say about should?
Yeah, I know, but like, it's just fucking.
Regardless of
white people, teach your fucking kids right. That's the moral of the story.
You expecting? No, that's not.
No, but I was joking in regards to that story that you made.
Okay, because I'm saying like, should is a fallacy. Should get you got. I don't believe. Listen, right? I think we talked about this recently, but kindness and all things beautiful and good in the world that should be is a virtue of the gift of the strong. If you are not strong enough to provide those things for yourself, then being given them or receiving them from others is a gift, and they have the power to withdraw that at any point in time. If you want those things consistently, it's your responsibility to secure them. And this is the same situation that we're discussing right now in terms of having space for you have to sacrifice to get the things that you want and need. And I'm not saying this as a person who doesn't understand. I've been in living situations that I didn't enjoy or didn't control or have desire over. I've been so adamant about getting the things that I wanted that I've chosen to turn my back on my family and ended up homeless and had to extricate myself from that situation with people not fucking with me. So I don't speak on these things as someone who hasn't experienced these situations. You know what I mean? Like, everything that I have, everything that I am right now, I had to create through force of will. None of this shit was given. And I know that's not a possibility for everybody, but until you get to that place in life, you gotta take what motherfuckers give you.
But just in regards to that story,
that situation,
in the context of that situation, it's just a whole different. It's such a it's
your
a
kid
burden.
Should be able to go to school safely, without being 30 deep, is what you're saying.
Exactly. And having it puts the burden on people of color to, There's a financial burden to have 30 plus kids.
Yeah, no, I feel you. But listen,
Anyway.
But the two places that I come from on that one, first, Malcolm X. You know my love and respect for Brother Minister. Malcolm X said only a fool would let their enemies teach their children. Which is why I believe in the girls going to Kohanga anyway. Because there's nothing in a white, colonized, based education that doesn't properly teach white children that is for my children. Especially teaching them self-hate and that white people are their saviors and heroes and did all of this shit for them. That's the first part. The second part is they should be going to homeschool or schools of colors or things like. Does everybody have that option? No. But this is another one of those conversations where we need to create more of these things in our community to get the best version of these things for ourselves, so we don't have to ask other people for this shit. And just in case you're unsure what I'm talking about, motherfucker, I'm pro segregation for life. Separate the shit out of us.
My God.
Let's do it. No, like, well, no, because realistically, we're jumping off topic. And I'm
We
so
really
sorry.
are jumping off topic.
Okay, we'll do segregation another episode. But anyway,
Okay,
but
let's
segregation is a part of the personal
It
space
is.
conversation. Go
And
ahead.
I just want to branch into what you were saying about Kohanga and the kids. Listen, when it comes to just about like
I threw you off.
you did.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But it
No,
was
listen. When it
pertinent.
comes to like people's, especially white people's reckons on Tedeo, like especially online, you get an automatic block. When it comes to not just white people, but
I don't care about anybody's opinion on Aotearoa who's not Maori.
yeah, but when it comes
that's
to
me,
people's reckons about indigenous issues online, you get an automatic block. And that's another way, especially online. Like, I'll be blocking everybody.
Well, I do too,
In
but
which
I
I protect my energy that
Right.
way.
But I see, for me, it's a little different. I block because I'm not going to engage with the ignorance. But also, I don't give a fuck about a keyboard warrior. If you don't feel strong enough about what you're speaking on to see me with the hands, then shut the fuck up. Because if it's that real,
All right.
I'm going to beat the bricks off you. Anyway. We're moving
So
forward.
we were on the topic of protecting energy.
Yeah, I'm just saying. We're talking about the hostile individuals.
So
I'm
yeah,
okay with
listen,
that.
protect your energy online as well.
Online is very important because we spend
A lot of
so
time on
much more as people, not even any
Yeah.
particular, everybody, on our phones, online, on the internet consistently. Somewhere that this conversation is very big is in the gaming community, because we have a lot of Pacifica gamers.
Yeah.
We have a lot of gamers POC, but there's still so many more white voices in the gaming space that you immediately open yourself up to sexism and racism, like homophobia, all like the way these little white kids with the nigger and all that. Sorry, should have trigger warning before that. But they are so loose and free with all of these things. But this is also why I'm about the active aggression, because I believe there has to be consequences for the harm that they do. Listen, nobody was killing themselves because of the internet when we were coming up. That shit wasn't real. But it's way more real for these generations now, and has an impact on their lives now. Like,
do more to like certain things. Like, remember that when we were watching Julie, the tattooist on Vice?
Yes. You got very passionate about that. Yeah.
I had to step away. I was like, otherwise I'd have spent 5-7 hours on YouTube just replying to these, like...
That's the same reason you don't use Reddit, because you get so worked up about the comments.
So, like, Reddit, I had to stop using Reddit. I'm hardly ever on Twitter now, because just people's conversations, like, they don't have conversations, and then when you counter their conversations, they don't look at it from a place of, how can I learn from this person?
They're just,
what's this person's perspective?
They're not discussing to understand. They're not discussing to understand everyone's point of view or find a middle ground. They're simply defending their beliefs with no room for budging. Yeah. So you get very worked up about it.
I
but
do.
I don't,
like, my screen time is down to 2 hours now.
And that's what's up. But the reason that I don't get fazed about it is because of what I just said. And that's not me being violent or aggressive in my view. I'm not about the dramas. I'm about, you know what I mean? But I think the reason that we didn't have this in my generation coming up, where I come from is because everybody was about that action. And you could catch a fade or a hiding or get your ass whipped off of what somebody heard you say about somebody else, even if it wasn't accurate. So nobody was going online to yap at the gums, and especially not about people that are going to see every day. But it made a lot of cowards feel bold. I can be anybody I want online. I can say whatever I want. There's no consequences. It's just online. And that's the defense that people like that always use. Oh, it's just online. It's just the internet. It's not real.
Yeah.
I'm just here for giggles. Oh, I like to trigger people. Shit like that. You know what I mean? Because it's not a big deal to them because it's online. It's not real. You shouldn't take it serious. But then we got all of these fucking school shootings, or some kid had his feelings hurt online and shot up your mom's job, and then, oh, I don't understand why people aren't nicer to each other. Fuck that. Be consistent with the bullshit. You know what I mean? Either you're about good things all the time, you're about bullshit all the time. It's okay to be you, but let's be honest and be real about the consequences of our actions. Because that's why people love the internet so much. They don't have to acknowledge the consequences of their actions. We were just having that conversation. Old boy was talking all of that shit on Twitter. So anyway, I'm taking this to a different place, sorry. But I'll probably cut that last one. But we need to be prepared for the consequences of our actions, and that applies to the energy that we create in different environments as well. And the greatest power and ability that we have over our own lives in terms of controlling that energy is the ability to remove ourselves from those situations when we don't have the power to influence them. You want to say anything else before I run off on another tangent and get wild?
Thank you guys so much for listening into this episode.
Thank you.
Also,
for coming
shout
back.
out to all the Pacifica warriors, all the Pacifica climate
activists.
Yeah, they showed up. They really did show up.
Going hard at all of our locations on all of our islands to defend and protect the future of our people.
Some of their signs are. There was one that says "Seize up," like.
Yeah, listen, I saw.
Not seize up.
I saw the young homie. I was like, okay.
And this other one that I really liked was, I think it was protect the ocean like Mike Hosking protects his white privilege. Mike Hosking is like a Duncan Garner, pretty much.
Okay, fair, but no,
or
crazy.
Mark Richardson. I was like, that's a good one.
Yeah, so shout out to everybody that was able to and made the effort to and turned out to all of the climate protests all over the world going strong, trying to shut down these governments and these organizations from robbing us of our future. But we love you guys. Thank you for being with us.
And on the note of mental, do something nice for yourself.
Yes. Treat yourself. You know what I mean? All right. We love you, Father.
Treat yourself.
See you guys soon.
Yeah.